Hey, what's up guys? I'm Dan, welcome back to Sweat Equity. Today, I think I'm gonna spend some time down here in my family room trying to get just stuff cleaned up, get it out of here, get it ready to start prepping for painting and a new floor. This room was kind of the first place that I actually lived. It's the first place I slept in this house when I bought it, almost 5 years ago now. The house was technically move-in ready. It just needed painting. The previous owners were smokers, but there was really no carpet in this house. It was all just hardwood floors and just some area rugs around and curtains. So once you got rid of all that, painted, and I sanded the hardwood floors and refinished them, the smell was pretty much gone. During all that time, we pretty much just kind of crashed down here. My wife actually didn't really move in until I got our master bedroom finished. She would stay like, a couple nights a week up here because, obviously we wanted to be together as much as we could. So we kind of just crashed in this room here, and these couches were, we got almost all the furniture in this house, at least the first couple years worth of furniture for free. These two couches here were given to us. And I mean, they were nice. I mean, they were lazy boy reclining couches. They just, a little dated as far as the pattern goes. So we did get these in here. I had like a twin bed that I brought in when I was kind of sleeping here, and I think we got like an air mattress in here at one point. So, we lived in this room for the first, at least I did, the first few months, and then that was it. Like once we moved upstairs, it was like I would come down here to watch TV. Like I've got my 70-inch TV down here, and my my sound system, which isn't exactly, I just basically can listen to the TV through it. This room, after almost 5 years of us being here, finally needs some attention. This is my little office setup. This is where I do my editing right now. I just kind of got like a desk and set it up, and this is what I got to work with. So I would like to make this whole little area nicer as well. The room is big enough. I forget the actual dimensions. I'll probably have to measure it and put it in the video. So it's a huge room, but it's very long. So like you can kind of have like a separate area over here and then another area over here. The door's like right in the middle. The general idea of what I want to do is probably gonna leave the ceiling the way it is, although I'm gonna get rid of the two lights like the way they are, and I'm probably gonna put two ceiling fans that have like a light that's relatively tucked up, not like a hanging light, just so I don't hit my head on it, because the ceiling is only about 7 feet 4 inches. The upstairs and downstairs are both the same in this house. They're low ceilings in this house, so I have to be careful with a ceiling fan. Like this one here will go. This is just old, but like if there was a light that hung down like this, it would be okay. I would be able to get around that without hitting my head on it. I kind of like this textured ceiling. This reminds me of my grandparents' house when I was a kid. The house was built almost the same time, and my grandfather actually built the house and actually did this himself in his house. So it's a little nostalgic for me, fond memories of going to my grandparents' house when I was a kid, and the whole house in a way, though it was much bigger, this house is much bigger than their house was. It's very similar in a lot of the, like they had a room downstairs they called the club room that basically looked just like this room. I want to paint the upper portion of the paneling, do like a chair rail somewhere along here, stain the bottom of the paneling something darker. So I still want to have the wood look, and all the trim I will try to keep like a wood, but I'll probably do something different than what it is. So today I basically want to get everything out of here, and I move it over into the bar here. Who knows what's over here right now. I probably want to show this. So this room here, let's turn some lights on. So this is the bar. For the most part, this is how this room came. We really haven't done anything in here. Even this TV, like we just left this here because it just was perfect. Of course, the car stuff I've added. Oh yeah, I forgot I had this little E90 model. I think my friend bought me this when I had my 335i. Anyway, this room came with it, everything that's in here for the most part. this piano. This is like a 100-year-old player piano, so it's supposed to actually play the music itself. It came with all of these music. It doesn't work, but it tries to. Like, it will turn on and like it'll try to function. Came with the pool table. The pool table is pretty nice. It's in pretty much like perfect condition. The felt is all good. Pretty nice pool table. Previous owner who built this bar also put in this kegerator. So he just bought an old refrigerator and you know, kind of like drill a hole in the side of it, and you're supposed to be able to sit a keg right in here and have yourself a beer tap. I never have done anything with it because, you know, where we thought we would be down here all the time, we don't really ever come down here. And I think it's partially because we don't really ever even go into the family room. If we went in there more, we'd probably come over here more. It's just, you know, right there. But yeah, so he built this whole thing. There's 4, you know, pretty nice rustic looking bar stools. It came with probably half of what's up there. As far as the bottles, we've added a few more. My coworker, Tom Dugan, actually gave me all those beer tumblers down there. They actually put records as the ceiling, and all of these actually do have the records in them. It was pretty cool to have, you know, this down here. This is one of the selling features of the house to us, just because it was different, you know. Who really, yeah, see? That's what she does. Yeah, you just come right in here and destroy everything, don't you? But like all of this glassware, like all this came with it, as far as like the way, you know, they must have been, the previous owner must have been kind of a train buff too, because he's got like, you know, pictures of steam engines and like railroad ties under here. There's a whole bunch of wine corks over there, which is kind of cool. Over here, what we got? Yeah, more railroad stuff. In that panel that I just turned the lights on, said train, and it turns this light on right here. So he must have had some kind of a train up here. It only looks like it went like to here. So I don't think it was like one that ran all the way around the ceiling or anything. He may have just had like a display track up there, which I might do again at some point. And you know, little things like this is like railroad stuff. All this stuff was covered in cobwebs. It's a pretty cool room, and we need to utilize the space better than we do. So what am I gonna do right now? I'm gonna bring a whole bunch of crap from over there and stuff it over here. All right, there it is. Got that half cleaned out. All that's left is my desk, which I think I'm just gonna go ahead and move this too, but just put it somewhere that I can set it back up, because I actually need to use this if I want to make videos. So, but if that's all I accomplished today, I'll be happy with that. All right, so it's been long enough since the first part that I just finished. It's probably been, I don't know, 3 weeks or so since I got everything out of here. I've kind of gone around and wiped down most of the paneling, at least on the part of the room you can see. Behind you there is, I still have my computer and desk set up. I'm just gonna primer the entire room, except for the floor. Why are you being so needy right now? My plan is to use this Zinsser's water-based primer. They have a water-based and an oil-based paint or primer. It doesn't matter which you use. You can use an oil-based primer and you can put like a latex paint on top of it. Once it's dry, it doesn't matter. But oil-based to me is just annoying to work with. You know, you have to use. You can't just use water to clean it up. This stuff is supposed to pretty much work on like everything. I mean, down to the masonry for the brick fireplace. I'm not 100% sure on the colors yet. I was thinking I wanted to go, you know, just like a bright white for the walls and gray for the trim and gray for the fireplace. But now I'm not sure if I want to do bright white or if I want to do like a slightly more off-white, like a tan or something. I'm not sure. Because originally I kind of wanted this room to have like a cabin feel to it, which I still might want. And I was like, maybe I just want it to be like, you know, bright and crisp. Just because this whole basement is dark right now. But I think just even making it a lighter, like up in our breezeway, we did the same thing. It was called like cream in my coffee. It's more like coffee with, you know, it's basically white, but it's just got like a hint of tan or off-white to it. But if you just look at it, it just looks like a warm white. So we'll probably end up doing pretty much the same thing down here with that. And I had like a brown floor and brown trim up there. Oh my God, you guys. There's a couple nails in the wall I go around and take out. And I'm gonna kind of start in like this corner right here and just get a little bit on everything. I have 1 gallon. I've had this for, I'm not sure how long I've had this. Probably about a year. I kind of just want to see how far the gallon goes to kind of base off how much more I need. Alright, so it looks like the standard, like, I think it's a 3/8 inch nap roller that I was using. It doesn't really get in the cracks, I guess. It does if you push really hard. I think this was actually like the thickest I could find at Home Depot, but it's a 3/4 inch nap, so that would be twice as long of fibers as what I just used there. I got this mainly to do the ceiling in the fireplace because I knew that I would need more to get into like the mortar joints on here. Probably gonna just try using this now for all of it because it looks like I'm gonna need to. Obviously, I am by no means a professional at this, so this is just me kind of doing trial and error and hoping for some decent results at the end. And I'm purposely doing this before I do the floor, so that way I don't have to worry about sloshing a little bit of paint on the floor. I guess it'll give it a bigger texture, but it actually fills in the grooves. So, I mean, I don't mind a little bit of texture on the wall, I guess. It might actually help to hide the fact that it's paneled. It looks like it will need 2 coats. That was my boss texting me, and I'm off today, so who knows what that's about. All right, so I'm down to the last bit of the first gallon. So it did probably 1/6 of the room. So I'm gonna have to use a lot of that stuff. So that's gonna be pretty expensive because I'm pretty sure that stuff is, I'm not sure. I'll put in how much it is a gallon. I'm gonna see if I can get like a 5-gallon container of it. But the corner, like that area right there, that's got 2 coats. And I would say we might as well just go ahead and give it 2 coats of the primer, because that way once the primer is nice and even and nothing bleeding through, not only is it going to keep like the wood stain or whatever from bleeding through down the road, but it also, we probably won't need to put more than 1, possibly 2 coats of the top coat on it. Like this right here is just 1 coat, and it goes on nice and bright white, but it gets very dingy brown looking when it dries. And I don't know if that's just the nature of the primer or if that's just the wood kind of showing through that first coat a little bit. But I'm just gonna kind of roll this wall over here to finish out this gallon. I think another, this is a 1 gallon, did that. If I get a 5-gallon jug, I should be able to make that go the whole rest of the way, I think. Replace all the outlets and switches too, so I don't really care if I get paint on them. Alright, so this is after the first coat dry. This is pretty much what 1 gallon did right here. This way is about 12 feet, I want to say. And we probably went a little further, probably like 14 feet right there. Pretty much everything got 1 coat, including the fireplace. And I did this like 4-foot section, I don't know if you can see that, of the ceiling. So that was 1 gallon. This corner right here, like from there to there, is 2 coats. So you can see it fills in the grooves pretty well. And also it's really a good adhesion to it. Like like it was kind of porous, like the first coat really like just kind of soaked up. Actually, it's not so wet, but it's not completely cured yet. But like I can scratch it, it doesn't take it off. So this really did stick well to this. And you can, if you really dig at the bricks, it'll take it off. But no, it's okay. Hopefully it'll be good enough. Made a big difference though. I mean, really a big. This just looks brighter already. I went ahead and got a 5-gallon jug or bucket of the Zinsser's 123 primer, the water-based. Same stuff I use here. I figured 5 gallons should be more than enough. It's not that expensive. The whole 5-gallon container was $105 plus tax at Home Depot. It's only, if you buy individual gallons, it's only like maybe $2 more a gallon, $2 to $4 more a gallon. So not a huge deal to buy it in bulk. As of right now, I'm gonna move my desk and computer out of here so I have access to this side. Bucket, same stuff. The Zinsser's Bullseye 123 primer for all surfaces is what it says. I mean, it says masonry, brick, I think stucco. So from what I can see, it really does adhere well. you know, if you have anything that's got like a shiny surface, like all the woodwork around the windows actually is kind of shiny. So I sanded that down. I think I sanded at least the inside of this door frame over here. I have not done anything with that one over there. So right now I'm just going to try to get everything on. I'm going to get a coat on all the walls all the way around. It's a nice thing about not having a floor is it doesn't really matter if you get a little bit on the floor. I put like way too much in there. I can't even roll it. Alright guys, so everything, including the ceiling, has one coat of the primer on it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a brush and a small, you know, like a can of paint, or a can of the primer, and walk around and just hit all of the, like the corners and the trim areas. I'm not going to actually go over the doors just yet because I think I want to take those off and do those off of the hinges. So I'm going to just kind of go around that stuff right now. I might hit the other door frame over there with sanding block first. I'm pretty sure I did that to this one. So I want to do that to that one too, the one right there. And then I'm just going to go around and just kind of fill in, or you know, kind of like get all the corners better than you can get with the roller. And then I'm going to go back and give at least all the walls a second coat. I'm not sure if I'm going to give the ceiling a second coat. It seems like it actually covered the ceiling well enough for primer at least. juncture, I'm going to switch back to rolling another coat onto the paneling. At least tacky. It may not be completely dry yet, but it's tacky, so I should be able to go over with a second coat. I'm going to dump this extra back. Alright, so that's 2 coats. And it might be enough, really. And I can still kind of see some dark spots. I don't know that the primer has to be quite fully covering everything, because that's kind of what the paint's going to do. I think as long as there's enough of a coat that the paint can stick to it. The fireplace actually looks pretty good. You know, it's nice and bright white, which I really never wanted to paint the fireplace at first. I mean, my dad would be rolling in his grave right now if he knew I painted over brick. But it's just, you know, it was just a very basic brick, nothing really ornate about it. You know, the fireplace upstairs is stone. It looks really nice. This one was just kind of a bonus that we had a second fireplace. And I think that painting it, not 100% sure what we're going with yet, but as of right now, I'm looking at what's called a platinum for the walls, which is just a really, really light but bright silverish gray, obviously platinum, and a darker gray for the fireplace and all the trim. And I'll probably do all of the, you know, the inserts in the fireplace, the heater, cover here. I'll probably do that all in like either black or like really dark, like charcoal gray or something. I'll probably just spray paint that stuff. I'm not sure about the outlets yet, if they're gonna just be, they're probably just gonna be white. But you just kind of want those to blend in with everything. You don't really want them to be standing out. So I guess I need to do something with the doors. There is a place down here that got scratched up by Zeus when we first bought the house. We were putting them down here when we left, and he scraped that all up. I don't really care about that. I'm just gonna probably sand over it, kind of smooth it out. This part right here is nice and rough. This will take the primer pretty well, I think. The sides, I think, will probably just need to be wiped down, and you know, so I'm just gonna probably lightly sand them. I think I'm gonna take it off of the hinges though, just to try to do it a little bit neater. I don't really care if anybody comes in here right now, it's, you know, as far as animals go, because there's nothing really in here. I mean, all they're gonna do is just pee on the floor if that's the worst case scenario. I'm debating if I want to stop, but if I stop, I probably won't do anything else today. And you know, when you got all your paint out, you might as well just keep going. But I definitely got a lot accomplished, so I do think I want to do the doors though. I definitely think I want to do the doors. Alright, so I didn't record the last couple bits, but basically the whole room has been primed and then now painted, except for the fireplace and the trim, which is what we're going to start doing right now. Going with this is called Silver Shadow on the paneling. So just a little bit like a bluish gray, something along those lines. And then this Starless Night is going to be, it looks like it's dark gray in the picture, but it's definitely blue. And so the fireplace will be like that. I will spray paint the grills just like a flat black. It was like a high temperature paint, so to withstand the heat. It'll be for that, and then also the heater right here. So right now the trim is just been primed. So I'm gonna go ahead and start. I think I'm gonna start over here. Oh yeah, another thing that I did was I caulked all the way around the ceiling just to kind of make that, there's like a big gap in the trim all the way around. You can see it all the way around. So I just caulked all the way around that, and I just, did all the door jambs, the windows, and around the fireplace against the wall. There was a huge gap all the way around there. And also in the corners. So all four corners got caulk down there like that. All right, folks, we're back on, or I'm back in my family room here. It's been a couple of months since the last footage that you will have seen, basically. Got, everything's painted. So the fireplace is painted. I'm pretty sure that has now, okay, watch that. Pretty sure that has 2 coats on it. The walls have 2 coats, and the trim I think is also, basically everything got 2 coats. The doors, you can see the back sides of the doors still need another coat. There's still a little bit of streaking there. Door jambs, and this side, all that comes out, but looks pretty good. That was probably what took the longest, because I was trying to let Julie do the painting to give her, something to do that I didn't have to really worry about. And it just, it just took a while to get that going. The baseboard obviously will go down once the flooring is done, and that leads me on to the next thing, which is those boxes right there. I started doing it over here. And first of all, as far as what I'm using is this right here. So try to get this right to actually see that. It's a Traffic Master vinyl plank flooring. It is the Winding Brook. This was from Home Depot. It's $2.09 a square foot. US price, in case I have anybody from Canada watching this. And this is basically 1 box worth right here. And I figured I'd start on this end with the fireplace because I don't really know how I would, you know, because the way the tongue and groove is, you kind of have to, you know, you lay down one row and then the next row kind of has to go in at an angle and go flat. So I don't know how I would have started from that end and work all the way down here and then have to fit it around this stuff. This is really the only fitting around of anything I have to do. And I still had this from when this room used to have carpet, and I was able just to kind of slide the tiles right up under there. Everything looks really good, and you know, it feels pretty solid even without having like baseboard in to kind of like hold the edges down or anything like that. But there is a couple issues that I have to probably end up pulling up a couple of these rows. I don't have any spacers around the wall. I was kind of watching a few people's opinions on that. You know, I may end up having to do something like that because right here it's actually kind of far. And I mean, you know, I can always just add like a quarter round or something if I really needed to. But right now, you know, this is just floating, so I can theoretically push this closer. But I think I'm going to end up having to do this with Julie because you kind of have to do like a whole row together and then fit that row into the row before it. Because let me show you. All right, so, well, basically my issue right here is everything looks pretty good. I know the lighting isn't very good right now. Like right here, this groove is not pushed all the way together, and this groove is not pushed all the way together. I don't know how well that comes out. So you can clearly see, well, I can clearly see, but there's a gap where, look here, actually that's not even, this one's perfect right here. You can see, you barely can tell there's any kind of a gap other than just the color changes. And this floor is really nice. I mean, it has a texture to it. It feels like wood. It looks like wood. It has imperfections like wood. They're different shades. You know, I think it's gonna look really good once it's all done. But so let me. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just come over here and just pull a couple new ones out. I'll show you the actual tiles. So they're, I would say, 6 inches wide by 36 inches long, I believe. I'm pretty sure that's the size. And you have the, you know, the tongue on that side, and then I guess the groove on the other side. So when you put it down, and you have to have it like this. So I'm gonna go ahead and you kind of, you know, just slip it in. I'm trying to hold the camera while I do this, but slip it in. Nope, that's wrong. I was trying to put two, yeah, this side. Yeah, so you just get it in and lay it down. And then it's together. And like, I mean, you can pick it up like that. Like it's, you know, it doesn't like, it's not like it's just gonna lift out. It does kind of lock in place, but it's a little bit crooked. So you can, again, I'm doing this holding the camera, but you can slide it when it's in the groove. But the easiest way to do that is with like a wood block to kind of keep it from getting damaged, and then, you know, a hammer or a mallet. And I think I just went a little too far. Okay, so they're together. But then the problem comes when, so I'm gonna put another row down. I'm gonna stagger it. So we're just gonna kind of put it like that. All right, so you have to, same thing, you have to kind of have it like a 45-degree angle, and then you'll kind of feel it go in. And right now it's kind of like up a little bit in the back because it's not like fully in the groove. So if you kind of hit it a little bit with the mallet, it seems like you can get that to want to lay down. So like this side is like flat now. This side over here, yeah. So you just kind of tap it, and then it lays down flat. Nice tight grooves. Okay. Now the problem is this one. All right. So you've got two tongues sticking out that you have to put in at a 45-degree angle, right? So how do you do that? Because you do this, but then you can't do this one. You can kind of like pick it up like this, and this is kind of what I was doing over there. And you can do it this way, and you kind of tap it a little bit to get it to go into place. But I think the best way to do it is just do the whole row at a time, you know? So like over there, you get a whole row pieced together long ways, and then you have an extra pair of hands help you. You know, I'll be on this side, and then she'll be on this side, and we kind of just slip the whole row in all in one motion. At least that's my thought process. You know, at least it'll make it a little bit easier, because you can do it. It's just because I mean it's vinyl, it's pretty flexible. As far as tools that I've used to do all that, literally just a utility knife. It's got some sharp blades. I have this square. I forget what these are actually called. Okay, right there it is, a rafter square, but it has that edge on it that you can just kind of run right up against the edge. That way you make sure you have a perfect 90-degree cut right there, or if for whatever reason you need a 45, you could do that too. So between this and just a regular, you know, carpenter's square, that's what I've used. I have a marker for something. Really the only place I needed a marker was where I was cutting like around here, because these were actually, and you can see right here, this whole thing has come out a little bit because it's a little bit of, you know, away right there. I think I have a little more room to push this back, but if it's not perfect, I'm not going to worry that much about it. I can always cover that up. I'm not going to, you know, go crazy over this. It's going to look really good once it's all done. Then we're going to have the blue, or the same Starlight, whatever it was, as the baseboard. So that's pretty much where I'm at, and just have to do a whole lot more of the same thing. I'm going to probably try to figure out getting this, you know, this first few rows all fit together nice and evenly, squarely, whatever you want to say. And then I think that the rest of the rows after that should be relatively easy. Basically, you know, you just make like one cut at the end, and you know, you take your one cut off of this side, and then theoretically you should be able to take that and use that over here, and then that way you get your staggered joint lines. That's where I'm at for right now. I just got home from work. I have not eaten anything yet. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna come down here and get started doing something with this. I want to try to make some headway. Julie's out with her friend. She's supposed to get home in a little while. I'll see if I just keep going myself, or if I wait for her to try to do some of these rows together. So I guess we'll have to see. So I got about maybe an 8-foot section done. I'd say it's probably about maybe a third of the room, roughly. So I kind of got to the point where, yeah, as you can see, I was just kind of doing one at a time, and I wasn't really worried too much about how flat they were and how far they were into the grooves along the long edge. I just was trying to get them like in place, you know, kind of clicked in. I go all the way down the end, cut the last piece, and then I just kind of work myself back and forth, just tapping the edges. I don't know what's going on the radio. Sorry about that. Anyway, so if you do have a situation where it's the tongue and group, or the pieces are a little bit too far apart where they can't just be tapped straight in, just kind of lift it up a little bit and then tap it a little bit so that it gets over that little hump, I guess, and then you can just tap it. And you know you're in all the way when the row that you're working on lays flat. That's like the easiest thing I can say is like it'll kind of want to sit up at an angle if it's not all the way in. If you go down with it and just keep tapping all the way down, you'll see the whole row get flat. And that's how you know that they're all in fully. So I'm gonna go ahead and I realized I didn't really do the best job of vacuuming this floor like right before I started. I mean, I had done it before. So I'm probably gonna end up doing that just because I don't want there to be any dirt under it, or at least minimal. And I'm gonna go shut that radio off because it's driving me nuts. But this, you know, at least I got like kind of a rhythm down. I think another like 2 nights I can finish the whole thing for sure. So yeah. Anyway, cool. See you on the next section, I guess. I've got the floor about halfway done, actually a little bit more than halfway done. And I've got it up to the point where I'm gonna have to, you know, fit it up under the door frame a little bit. So what I'm planning on doing is using my multi-tool and just take a piece of scrap, kind of just lay it down like that, and then use that as a template to just make a nice cut, you know, all the way around, a nice even cut that, you know, basically is going to be the thickness of this blade, which is, you know, really thin, above the actual floor. So I think that should work pretty well for that. As far as doing the floor, I've done a little bit of time lapse, as you've seen here. I'm just kind of doing one piece at a time. Like what I kind of have been doing is I'll just kind of lightly work them all into the this groove. Well, I start, you know, with this piece here. I start with this piece, obviously, and then kind of fit that in. Then I go and fit this groove in, kind of lift it up to where it'll get at least most of the way in here, and just real quickly go down the line, cut the last piece to fit. Then I come back over here with my wood block and mallet and just go all the way down and just tap it until it lays flat. Basically, that's how you know that this is in all the way, is that the floor lays flat. If it's not in, even this last little bit, it'll sit up at a really obvious angle. So I've got a pretty good rhythm down. Once you get going, you can really do a pretty good bit at a time. But I'm now at the next challenge, which is trying to get the floor to fit nicely up under that door jamb. The next thing, you know, is I'm planning on actually getting or having the same floor continue out into this area, but that's going to be like another project. I want to get this room finished first. So what I'm planning on doing now is just kind of staggering the joints going out into there. I'll probably just like lay like a rug over it so that the ends don't get damaged in the meantime. But I want to be able just to kind of like slip more pieces into it to join it out there instead of having just a sharp cut line at the door frame, which you don't want to do. You want to have it staggered so that it looks like it was all done at one time. That might be a little bit of a challenge, but I think that's doable. So what I'm gonna do now is cut this right here, or at least attempt to, and see how we go. I'm gonna kind of score it all the way around so I have like a notch that it'll easily slide into. These guys right here, these multi-tools, this is from Harbor Freight. I'm pretty sure these are like $30. The bits are a little bit expensive. Harbor Freight does sell these as well, and they're, you know, cheaper than buying them at like Lowe's or something like that. But what I did find is that you probably want to get the better actual blades because they'll last a little longer. But the tool itself, I had this for 5 years. I bought it when I bought the house, and I've used this thing a lot. I mean, anytime I have any kind of a project, doing any kind of you know, demolition or construction or something in the house, I've used this thing, and it's well worth it. So pick one of these up if you own a house. You'll use it all the time with any kind of project, because there's many different attachments for these things that come in handy, even just like scrapers, things like that. But I would definitely get this one because it's like a third of the price of the cheapest one you'll find at like Home Depot, at least at the time when I bought this. Alright, so I got the next 2 rows on all the way across, and I did, you know, got 2 new pieces to put under the door jamb. It all fits really nicely. There's no gap or anything. We'll just clean off the bottom here and probably maybe touch up the door jamb, although I think it's mostly just dust on there. To try to keep the pattern the same, which isn't really necessary. It's just, you know, why not, I guess. I want it to be able to flow out into the hallway here eventually as well. So I put, you know, I'm going to use a full piece over here, but I'm going to kind of, so like this next row needs to kind of line up right here. So you see this joint right there. No, you probably can't. That joint right there was going to, I can't do it with my foot now, but roughly line that up and then start the next board where it ends here and goes out into the hallway. It'll stick out a little bit. That way when I continue out there, it'll just tie in nicely, and then just continue on like I have been. And what I just learned from watching some other YouTube videos is you can kind of shave off some of the tongue lip to help slide the boards together when they're in situations like going the wrong way under this door jamb. So we're gonna see how that works. Alright, so I made a little mistake, but it's okay because I've got a good template now. So, I think you already saw that side. I got 2 more rows, and I thought, well, let me go ahead and try to cut out this part over here before I get the rows all the way in. You can just kind of use little scrap pieces like this as like a guide, and you just lock them into place. And my mistake here is I try to score both cuts, which didn't work. It just broke right there. So that piece is will go in the scrap pile. I might be able to use, you know, a chunk of it for somewhere else, but it's a nice clean fit. I'm just being lazy and not taking the door back off. I just put these back up, except for the sawdust and a little pin mark right there, which will not be on the new one because I will just score it to be exactly where this was. So, you know, you just kind of get it into position. So like I put it in this, the one that actually needs to go over here, I put in this position. And then I just took a piece of square material, you know, the actual tile, and then kind of scribed where all of these marks were to get like kind of a rough idea. And then I took it around and used another piece of scrap here to where I can link it into the place that it actually needs to go, and then kind of scored where this line needed to be. And I basically just went about maybe an 1/8 or 1/4 of an inch in from the edge of this door jamb, just enough so it can slide up under there. And you can see nice clean, you don't see any floor bare, there's no gap is what I'm trying to say. So I get this out of here and I'll cut a new piece where I don't have that break right there. Kind of learn as I go. I've been watching some other YouTube videos on some of these little techniques. It's really a great tool that we have now, because 20 years ago you wouldn't have been able to do this unless you just kind of knew how, or you would have had some, you either had to be really smart. I actually did kind of figure out that part myself, I guess because I've kind of done things similar to it before, as far as sliding the multi-tool under there and using like another piece of scrap as a guide and all that. I think this is going to end up looking pretty good. Made it all the way down to the other end of the room, and fortunately I have, a decent amount of a tile that is like the last row. Obviously you're never going to have it be exactly a whole width, but you just hope that you don't have like an inch that you need to fill when you get to the end. So I've got about, I'd say about 2.5 inches, so almost half of a tile that I can have there. So what I've done is these tiles, these two that are in here, are actually going to be the last row. But what I did was I clipped it in place on the previous row, and then I just took a scrap. This piece right here, I shaved off one of the ears, whatever you want to call it, so that it's only the actual tile width. And I basically just started back here, put a little mark, moved it up. Basically I have about 5 marks coming along, and that's where I'm going to go ahead and score. Actually, I'm sorry, what I was doing was I was using this is what I was using as a spacer on the other side. So actually I put this up first and did it that way. So that way it stops, a little bit of space from the end of the wall. So I did that all the way down, and right here I took the square, and I didn't really even need the square because all I was really doing was just trying to go up to where I thought, from cutting out underneath, about where the tile needed to start going back to fit up under here. So I kind of guessed about maybe 3/4 of an inch in from this side here. So I'm basically just going to kind of trace out these lines, and when I got up here, I took the same piece and just fit it, not all the way under, but just like 1/4 of an inch, something like that, just enough that I know that it's going to stay under there, be covered, and then just trace that right there. So now I can pull these out and then just line everything up on the marks. And just about like that. We have killed this pen, but you can kind of see it'll come, straight line down here, little turn in to go from the space from here to fitting up under that. Yeah, because I figured since I was going to be out a little bit, I probably wanted it to start turning back a little bit before here, otherwise you'd see that gap right there. So I actually might want to kind of round that off a little bit. We'll see how that goes. So what I'll probably do is just score this part right here, and then use the multi-tool to go this way. Probably just this whole little thing right here, I'll probably just snap that off and then snap this last little bit. So it'll be kind of like a piece like that. As far as actually getting it to fit into place, I'm gonna have to play around with that a little bit, because I'm probably gonna end up shaving the groove off of the row that does actually end up going right here, just to try and make it fit a little bit easier on the very end. We'll see. I may try to do it without that first. So basically I'm gonna just go ahead and do the same thing with the Dremel tool thing, the oscillating tool under these 2 door jambs, and just start going, trying to put it together. gonna be the best job in the world, but it's good enough for me, and I can probably just fill in a couple little areas with some caulk. I'm gonna do that anyway. I think the first one I did might be the best one. So I was cutting this piece just flat, and it goes right up against the wall where it's supposed to. And then this piece, I cut it at a 45, and I took my jigsaw and just cut up along this edge here and contoured it to follow all the way up like that. And then theoretically, you just push that all the way up in the corner and have a perfect gap. Now, I didn't go crazy with this. I just kind of did the best I could because, you know, I'm not going to worry that much about it. Right here, I made a mistake and did 4 rows that there was too much of a gap. This is the kind of thing that if I was paying somebody to do this, this would not be acceptable, but this is me doing it. I'm not a professional. This is going to be where my desk is going to be sitting, so you won't see it. If I really cared that much about this, I could put a quarter round around this whole thing and you wouldn't see any of that. This is all going to be painted, the trim's going to be painted to blue to match everything else. Right here, there's a little bit of a gap too. This definitely would just fill in with some caulk. This is the only place that it's like that. And, you know, because it's paneling, you really can't probably tell on camera, but yeah, it's a little bit wavy. I use brad nails, which have really small, you know, it's a really small nail, so by the time you get the blue paint on it, I don't think you're going to even notice any of the holes. But I mean, over here, everything came out pretty good. Had I thought about it a little bit further, I would have taken up the threshold strip that was here. I was trying to be lazy and just slip it up under the threshold was already there. So I already cut these. I'm not going to worry about it. I think I'm just going to leave it the way it is and just put it back on, slip it back over the tile. It's just that it won't go up under the door. Little space right there on that side that could easily be filled in with some caulk. Over here, maybe just a little bit right there, but nothing too bad. Again, guys, I'm an amateur at this. This is, you know, not my wheelhouse, but I mean, I think overall the you know, tile, everything being finished, looks really good. I'm gonna go through and replace all the outlets with new white outlets and the switches. Outlets in, put the plates on, paint the trim, put the covers back on the fireplace and the heater. I gotta paint those, and I'm gonna put up ceiling fans with fan supports up in these lights, and I'll probably get those like circular things that like will, you know, cover the hole, and I'll probably just get like a little cover for that one right there. And this room basically will be done. We'll be able to put furniture back in, and then I can move my attention more out to the other part.